coincidence, through 3 games, he's been pretty unremarkable. And we're starting to hear some of the development that the Browns are telling the local reporters.
This has been my whole point the entire time, was that this was always going to happen this way. And we started to see it 2 weeks ago, and now we're seeing it last week, and now you're seeing it again today. They're going to try to take some credit for Shedeur Sanders.
Because you know some stories. I'm not going to out you.
Yeah.
But you shared a private story with
100%.
me during the draft process about Shedeur Sanders as to why a certain team that we all thought was going to take Shedeur didn't take Shedeur.
The way they have done Shedeur Sanders, we have never seen this done.
Elaborate. When you say the way they've done Shedeur, what part of this is Shedeur Sanders responsible for? Because collusion, NFL hates him. Sure. But if he was one of your kids, what part of this is Shedeur responsible for?
I don't think Shedeur is responsible for any of it, of how the NFL is treated.
Thus, we are returning with yet another one. Greetings from the channel again. And I told you about today's episode.
Every neuron in your brain is screaming, I told you so, so why don't you just say it before your head explodes?
God, I told you so.
Feel good to get that out?
So satisfying.
I've been stating on this channel for weeks that neither Kevin Stefanski nor the Cleveland Browns were interested in starting Shedeur Sanders right away. For the straightforward reason that they wanted to make sure they left their mark on Shedeur Sanders. They would have done so even if they thought he was capable of being the best quarterback. They wanted to ensure that Deion Sanders wasn't the reason Shedeur Sanders excelled if he entered the game. The Cleveland Browns were to blame. Kevin Stefanski was the cause.
Coincidence, through 3 games, he's been pretty unremarkable. And we're starting to hear some of the development that the Browns are telling the local reporters.
This has been my whole point the entire time, was that this was always going to happen this way. And we started to see it 2 weeks ago, and now we're seeing it last week, and now you're seeing it again today. The idea that once you start to see who Dillon Gabriel is, and they start to see who Dillon Gabriel is, they're going to try to take some credit for Shedeur Sanders. This is it. This is their saving grace, is the idea that they're going to try to make it seem as if Shedeur was not even close to ready previously, and now all of a sudden, voila, he's ready. And I'm telling you guys, nothing's changed with Shedeur Sanders. Nothing's changed with him relative to where he was before the season got underway.
Additionally, we must go back and look at what the great Eric Dickerson said a few weeks ago. If you don't think that, or buy it.
Told other, don't draft him. Do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source, And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him. They were going to have him, he was not going to get drafted, to basically show you this is what happens when you do this. I mean, look, the NFL got all kind of power. They do all kind of stuff. You know that, and I know it too. But no, they were not going to draft him. And like I said, when I said it came from a good source, it came from a very, very good source.
Because of this, you can bet that the NFL can tell the Cleveland Browns when and where to play Shedeur Sanders if it can tell them when to choose him. And for months, I have been repeating this. For the previous 2 years, all we have heard about Shedeur Sanders has been that he was a first-round talent, a top 10 player, and the better prospect of the two. This has always been about them attempting to remove the figurative odor of Deion Sanders from Shedeur. Furthermore, Dillon Gabriel was never mentioned to us at all. Dillon Gabriel was not mentioned as competing in the first, second, or third rounds.
Of course, Stefanski's doing some time and some work with him, but there's no drastic leap that's happened. He's always been better than Dillon. He remains better than Dillon, and now we're just counting out the time until the Browns actually put him out there.
But since we've been playing this game, Acho, you know who the ballers are. Mm-hmm. And usually you play talks, right? The whole year, who were the top 2 quarterbacks?
It was Shedeur Sanders
and Cam
Ward.
Right?
Yep.
Who was the third one?
Jackson Dart.
Yeah. Who was the fourth one? Maybe Will Howard and all that.
Tyler Shuck, whoever
Drew
you like.
Allard.
We ain't said Dillon Gabriel's name yet.
Shedeur Sanders entering the NFL and performing his duties is one thing, but having Deion Sanders' success ingrained in him is quite another.
Have been on when it comes to Shedeur. that there's going to be a time where the narrative starts to change on Shedeur.
And you'll see it. You'll see it piece by piece and week by week, and it's gonna like temperature rising in an oven. It's just gonna keep rising and rising and rising. And this is where I thought Mary Kay is speaking exactly to what we've kind of seen in the past couple weeks grow and grow and grow, and now it's hitting a boiling point.
And here was Mary Kay earlier today on this very station talking about Shedeur Sanders' development in elite accuracy.
I think his development has gone really, really well behind the scenes. That is what I'm hearing with the people that I've talked to. He's doing a really, really nice job. He's making progress in every way, including in all of those ways that they really needed him to, just in terms of being able to get the play articulated. He's really coming along. And the thing about Shedeur, I've written this so many times, I've said it so many times, but he has elite accuracy. And that's the place where I think he has Dylan beat, is in the accuracy piece. But you have to be able to get to that point where you have time to throw that ball and you're getting it out fast enough so that you can get it there on time and all those kinds of things. But in a 7-on-7 drill, if you put those two up next to each other and you just started doing a red zone 7-on-7, I think Shedeur would win that drill most of the time. But that doesn't mean that he would be the better choice at quarterback right at this moment.
It's more struggling that you see, or really from a 3-game sample size with Dylan that they're less than impressed by with, the more chatter you're going to hear about Shedeur Sanders all of a sudden overcoming all these made-up obstacles that they put in his way. And I just think it's such a farce, and it just feels so wrong that they're able to do this and get away with it. On a fundamental level, it just feels like someone.
I mean, every NFL team does this.
I know, but it feels like dragging Shedeur through the idea that for his reputation and his name, for months on end, people thought he can't play the position. And they told enough people behind the scenes, and you know this firsthand, Nick, they told enough people behind the scenes that he was so far behind, laughably far behind, and all these other things, just so they could make themselves look good in the end of it. And that's all they're trying to do. Oh, we fixed Shedeur. We got him to a spot where we could play him, and thank goodness we did just in the nick of time. And I just think it's wrong. I think it's wrong to besmirch his name that way, and I think it's wrong to go ahead and drag his name through the mud that way when he didn't deserve that.
As a result, many people are expressing the same idea in various ways. They're attempting to purge Shedeur Sanders of whatever impact Deion may have had on her. Additionally, Deion Sanders will be a faint memory by the time Shedeur Sanders receives his shot. The fact that he played for Deion Sanders will always be remembered. But what we will truly remember are Deion Sanders' early NFL days and the struggles he faced, the turmoil he endured, and his perseverance. That's good too. That's fortunate. However, they are essentially downplaying the extent of Deion Sanders' influence on him, having coached him through Pop Warner in high school and in college, at Jackson State and Colorado. As I previously stated, Deion Sanders would have reaped the most of that success if Shedeur Sanders entered the NFL and started at quarterback right away, and that is what they desired. That's the main focus of it. However, these are my opinions. Anyway, as we normally do, let's attempt to continue that discussion down here. Additionally, please go ahead and hit the like button for me once if you haven't already. Peace and anarchy as usual.